Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer.
Hey Harjit, how's it going?
Hey, Prayer. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's
Yeah,
Monday and it's episode 5.
it's episode 5 of
Cool.
the Harjit and Prayer Show.
I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk
Well,
about some patching
well,
ideas.
yeah, it's just in time because it's Patch Tuesday week for September, so it's just right time to talk about that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how do you do your patches? What do you use?
Well, I'm a consultant and so I don't have one site to maintain. I have a lot. And so for me to say, "Hey, I'm going to apply all these patches the day that they come out or even the week that they come out is not manageable for me because if something goes wrong, which something will go wrong,
Yeah.
it has to be a reactionary event that I have to do in order to resolve the problem, either like pulling the patch, coming up with a way to uninstall it, and things like that. So what we decided to do as an organization is rather than do it the week of, we actually wait for the last weekend of the month
Oh,
and yep. And so all of my clients, we've set them up with System Center Configuration Manager. Right now, everybody's on 2012 R2, and we're going to be upgrading them to current branch over the next couple months. And what we have done is we set a automatic deployment rule to run the last Friday of the month, like around 7 o'clock at night. And then we set the deadline to be 5 hours later, which would be midnight.
okay.
And at that point, the machines are all woken up by Pixie. They see that there is a software updates job waiting for them, and then they start installing patches. They get rebooted and things like that. So usually over the weekend, 90-95% of the machines that need to have patches are installed. And then we give them 2 weeks to have this done, and if it doesn't happen, then an alert is sent out saying, hey, there's 95% of the threshold hasn't been met for the patches that have been released for the patches that have been pushed out, sorry. So that's
Right.
worked really well for us. So there have been times when there was like a big problem with a patch that broke some application or Windows started acting funny or things like that. And so this has given us a window where, okay, let's let all the bugs get shaken out, which I read about on Tech Connect and things like that, and then I know,
Right.
okay, all this
Right.
stuff is good. The only exception is if there is some kind of 0 day event that we know about and Microsoft has addressed it, then we'll pretty much roll the patch out right away after we've
Right.
tested it, to a group of machines and stuff like that. So that's my
Right.
scenario because I have so many customers that I have to do and like thousands and thousands of computers that are being patched at different sites with different people. That's what works well for me. So,
Right.
how about you?
So we use Config Manager as well for patching, and I also patch third-party products, applications with Config Manager, but I'm not using any third-party patching, utility. Right now, it's all like homegrown, kind of like a fakery, magicy kind of a way of doing it. We can talk.
Magicy.
Yeah, and we can talk about that in a later show, I guess. But so basically, the way we are much more aggressive in terms of patching. We pretty much deploy them, the same week they come out this week. So patches come out Tuesday. I have my ADRs running, Tuesday night. It'll, package things up, and then they're not deployed yet. So then on Wednesday in the morning, or at some point, I'll scroll through the patches and I'll look through, Twitter and the forums and this and that, mailing lists and stuff. I see if there's any issues with any patches that were reported, and if they are, then I'll yank them out. If not, um, they get deployed. So the way we have our deployments is that we got two sets of deployments. One is we call them no delay, and one we call it delayed. The no delays are for our service. So it's very interesting. So when I deploy these patches to the no delay group. They hit our servers, but they don't get installed because these servers are in maintenance windows,
Hmm.
right? So they got various maintenance windows, usually after midnight, 2 a.m., things like that. So they'll get the patches, they'll download, they'll do whatever they need to do, but they get installed during the maintenance windows. Reboots happen, and then they're happy the next day. The delayed deployments that we do is for workstations. And the reason why we did this is because we had a lot of complaints initially. We were very aggressive with it where patches were pushed out, reboot warnings were happening, right in their faces, and people were doing presentations or in classrooms and experiments and things like that. So we now deploy them on Wednesday and we make them available. So it's the ownership is on the end users to install these patches by themselves by the following Monday. It's around 4 or 5 a.m. the following Monday, they become mandatory. So if they don't do it themselves and complete the reboots, then it'll happen, the following week.
Cool.
So what happened is we got some, research labs and, that sort of a thing where they'll start off an experiment, some kind of scientific experiment that will take a few days to run. And we were pushing out these patches and reboots, and it was breaking their research
Oh
stuff.
my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, so this is why we had to come up with this new strategy. So, and on the other hand, too, what we've done is reboots. So the updates hit a machine and they're mandatory, they got it all. We set our reboots for 9 hours from that point. So, if someone comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning to work, they turn on the machine. SCCM is going to do the scans and whatnot, the evaluations. I'll start installing the patches, between 8 and 9 or whatever. And then you got 9 hours from then. And the last hour before the actual reboot happens, there'll be like a nagging window, a small little window that sits in the bottom right hand side, and that they can't close it, and they'll just have a countdown,
Cool.
59 minutes, 58 minutes, that kind of a thing. So that's how we do it.
Awesome. So, how do you monitor the deployment on your servers? Because obviously, let's say like something happened and the patch didn't get installed, and not well, something went weird with the patch during the install, but other patches got installed, and so then it needs to reboot. And while it's coming up, it's now hung. So, do you have some kind of monitoring in place so that when this happens, that you're like, oh wow, something's up. I need to look at this right away.
Well, we have SCOM. That's what we use
Okay.
for our monitoring, and that's what alerts us actually for hung systems, stuff like that. And it happens, every now and then too.
Hmm.
So in the middle of the night or the next day, you'll have, the SCOM alerts will say, hey, the machine, there's different alerts that happens, and then we go and see, and it's still like spinning, it's
Yeah,
still trying to shut down or reboot or whatever. So you just give it a kick, and then it's back.
that's cool.
Yeah, it
So,
often happens with like the larger patches, like the .nets and things like that. That you know.
so do you install the critical, security, and optional, or some combination of the?
We do critical and security, and then we do updates and rollups, and service and feature packs.
Okay.
I've got these different packages actually separated in three.
Hmm.
So it's just a bit more manageable. So that way I know service and feature packs are in one little container, and I can look through them. And if there's I don't know, a service pack 3 for something or a sequel, or do I really want to deploy that or not? That
Right.
sort. Yeah.
That's cool.
So we don't deploy drivers, you know, and tools and stuff like that. So.
Got it. Have you thought about how are you going to manage the Windows 10 patching?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm still deploying them, for the systems that are already there, that
Hmm.
are on, Windows 10 right now. But I haven't done like the servicing model, or,
Right.
I'm still working on that.
Yeah, me too. None of our clients have actually deployed Windows 10 yet. They're just asking us, can you help us build the images, which is that method has changed a few times since Windows 10 has come out.
Right.
Um, and so we're still trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way that we're going to manage this stuff, especially now that some systems are just joined to Azure AD. They're not connected to SCCM unless you put the agent on and then think about some kind of DMZ infrastructure. That's like a whole nother scenario. Like, okay, how do we want to
Right.
manage this stuff? So I don't want to just let them be managed by the Microsoft managed method because I've seen too many pictures of Microsoft exports, very well-known ones that have a picture from their iPhone or whatever post out on Instagram that says, please wait while we update your system, and they have a presentation to do in like an hour
Right.
or something like that. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, maybe that's not such a good idea. But I
Yep.
myself, my work computer is a member of the Insider Preview program, so that I just let that happen whenever it happens. And I have to say, there's no way that Office users will allow you to do that.
Right.
No
And
way.
that's what I do too. I've got one or two systems on the Insider program and the Fast Ring
Yep.
and then my other systems on the regular cycle. And so yeah, I get to play with it. I get to see sometimes when the Insider builds actually screw things up on my system. So yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
always fun.
happened a few times. Yeah.
So,
And
well, if what do your deployment rates look like after a week? Do you see, above 95%, 90%?
it's hard to say. I
Okay.
think it's probably about 80% maybe. Oftentimes systems are turned off, or people have VMs that they're running in their Macs or things like that, but they're domain joined.
Hmm.
You got you know labs that are turned off during that particular week. So we don't do Pixie. Uh, you know,
Wake on land stuff.
like
Yeah.
exactly. We don't do that. So, well, we haven't dabbled into it yet. So
Cool.
it's a different environment when you're in higher ed.
Oh,
It's
sure.
the end users have more control than than a corporate environment does. So
Yes. That's
yeah,
the nice thing about public school machines is that you can say this is how this is going to happen because, the user doesn't own the computer and they pretty much know that and they're fine
right.
with it as long as, they're able to get logged on and do their work, teaching students and stuff like that, and it's not interrupting their classes. They're pretty happy with it, which is why
Right.
the last weekend of the month has worked really well for us. It does concern me that, okay, so for a while there are some unpatched machines out there, but like I said, if there's something critical, we will push that out immediately.
I do the
Um,
same thing. Yeah,
s-
especially the 0 days that come out a few days after
yeah.
Patch Tuesday, and so I'll just package that up and push it out. And usually, like it's a
Hmm.
flash vulnerability or something like that.
Yeah.
But then another thing is that what we should tell our audience is that they should actually pay attention to Tech Connect on Facebook and now on Twitter, because that's where a lot of patching info, alerts, issues, things like the bulletins and
Yep.
FYIs are posted, and um,
There's been a few times where on Tech Connect, the problem has been reported even before being acknowledged by Microsoft.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh wow, this happened on Tuesday, and then you don't see the modification until, yeah, there's a problem, and then you don't see it for like 24 hours. But people on Tech Connect are like, yo, this is what we're doing. Uninstall this right away, or don't
Right,
install it. So it's pretty cool to see that community work
right.
together.
It's
It's awesome.
amazing. Yeah. So yeah, follow Tech Connect on Facebook,
Hmm.
facebook.com/group/Tech Connect with a K, and Twitter is at Tech Connect.
Yep. I have to say, for our audience, don't rely on Microsoft updates to be your sole source of protecting your machines from security threats.
Right.
We've always looked at security in layers. And so that's just one of the layers. You should have something on your firewall at this point that is intelligent, like Cisco's
Right.
FireAmp, that is like, okay, these are the operating systems coming through. These are the things that have problems. Or here, this clearly has a botnet on it, so I'm just going to deny the traffic. Some kind of botnet filter should be running, which is constantly being updated, several times a day
Oh
from
yeah.
some service so that, all your traffic is being analyzed. And then, of course, your wireless networks need to be separated that are public from your internal network. So this isn't just the sole
It's not just right.
right. This is just one of the layers, which is why, I'm not so concerned about the critical security updates because I know that all these other layers are in place to protect the environment
Oh, that's
and
a good
stuff.
point. Yeah.
So
Good. Good.
maybe I'll do a demo of the Cisco stuff because it's pretty wild.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you watch the Apple keynote
Yeah.
thing?
The Apple event last week.
Yep.
Yeah, I was quite busy that day, so I, just gathered a little bit on Twitter and things like that, and caught up on some of the stuff. And I guess they released a new iPhone and
hmm
iPhone 7 and
iPhone 7
Apple
Plus.
Watch. Yeah, Apple Watch. What is it? Version 2.
hmm
And yeah, so there was and I guess there was pre early buy. Um,
This past Friday, yeah, you could order your
right
7 ahead of time.
at 3 a.m. Eastern time.
Yep. We know
And
some
we know
guy.
we know a few of them who did that
It's
too. So
incredible. Yeah.
yeah,
So, I love iPhones. I have no problem with them whatsoever. But for people that have the iPhone 6 or 6S, I don't see this as like a groundbreaking
no,
requirement, Like, I always approach technology purchases as, okay, what problem is this going to solve for me? And even I have a 5S that I don't use as a phone anymore.
yeah,
But even if I was actively using it, I would look at this thing and say, okay, what is this going to do for me that I'm not able to do on my 5S? And the biggest thing is, okay, this thing can take amazing pictures.
right,
And
right.
so if you're a professional photographer or more than amateur, I can totally see people getting on board with this because the software enhancements that they've made are
Well,
amazing.
what excited me was actually the camera,
hmm
and so I'm using a iPhone 6.
Cool.
So you can, it's an iPhone 6. So, like you said, it's not much different in terms of, functionality and stuff like that. I think iPhone 7 obviously is faster, has more um, hard drive space and things like that.
Yep.
But, I was looking at the camera feature and I'm like, oh, cool. This is as a professional photographer and, someone who does a lot of photography and a lot of Instagram and, I also do like freelance photography for the newspapers and stuff like that. I was like, this will be cool. But then I realized that the dual camera feature was only available
And the
on
7 Plus.
on the 7 Plus, and I'm
Which-
like,
That's a
no,
that's a
you
huge
know,
phone.
it's yeah, that's a phablet, so I'm like, no, I think I'm gonna wait. I'll just hold off on it. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty large. I really like the finishes on them, but if you look at the raw price of this stuff, it's
yeah,
expensive.
it is
And
expensive.
so, I think it's cool that some people, they're just jumping on board and they want to be first adopters and stuff like that. But I think average people like me on the phone side and email, it's like, okay, I don't see the
Right.
huge advantage of this. I am excited about Mario Brothers coming out though.
Yeah, that is
So
cool. That is
if
cool.
if that doesn't run on my 5S well, I might have to upgrade for sure. So
Yeah, that will make your upgrade.
yes,
So,
but yeah,
but
and the other thing people are freaking out about is the removal of the headphone jack, which like there's been so many memes out there, and and of course the wireless earbuds and stuff like that. And for the people not happy about the removal of the headphone jack, I have to say, just like when
but you
just deal with it. Like
but
who
you but you
cares?
but I gotta say it's courageous though.
It's courageous. Yes.
Uh, so you know what? you gotta give it to Apple though. Whenever they change something, it becomes the standard.
Yep,
So we've been used to this old, connector for ages.
that's
And now they come,
analog, right?
right. And now they come up with something different. And, yes, there's a hoopla right now, but it'll become the standard going forward for a lot of
Right.
devices, not just Apple.
I
Uh,
do wish they did. I wish it wasn't the Lightning connector. I wish they had maybe
yeah,
chosen USB-C, because all of a sudden people are going to be developing these new digital products for the Lightning, but not necessarily for other things. Like my S7 Edge, I can't use the same device on the two if I had it. I'm a big audio guy. I love listening to music, and I appreciate the high quality of things. Um, and so that's the one thing that irritated me. It's like, okay,
yeah,
so they got rid of the headphone jack, big deal. No doubt they're going to make a humongous amount of money, probably from licensing off of
right,
this
right.
thing. Every manufacturer that makes a official Lightning connector product will have to pay some kind of fee. I'm just taking a guess. I don't know for sure.
Oh, you know what I just realized yesterday was that because they have removed the old connector, there are little dongles and stuff like that by um, you know companies like PayPal and
Oh,
this
like the Square, yeah.
right, and you use that stuff in that those connectors to swipe credit cards and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, these vendors are gonna have to catch up and change things now.
Right. Well, I mean,
Like I said,
I completely agree with you. At the same time, you still have iPads with headphone jacks. You still have the
yeah,
5S I think you can buy, and the 6 and the 6S. That's still you can use it for that kind of stuff.
right.
So,
On
eh,
display.
I'm
Yeah,
like, people really got upset with it. I don't see why it was such a big freak out. They're a manufacturer; they can do whatever they want.
exactly.
At the same time, I don't see the huge deal of like why this is so good, other than like, okay, you're going to get much better audio quality. So I'm curious about the reviews that will come in
Right.
after that, especially with
But those,
streaming.
but those wireless earpieces, they kind of look funny though. They're gonna
Yeah,
hang, look like you're wearing earrings.
that I no comment. I just don't get it. That I don't understand.
Right.
Like they wouldn't fit in my ears. They'll just constantly fall out. So that wouldn't work for me. I can't use the Apple earbuds. They don't go in my ear. They keep always fall out.
I never use them. Yeah, I'm more of a full uh,
Yep.
headphone kind of.
And how much do they cost? Like,
I don't know.
I think it's over. For some reason, I'm
Is it
thinking
over 100?
it's over $100 for a pair of wireless earbuds,
Yeah.
and that look like they're gonna fall out. The best meme I saw was a guy sticking his head into like this really deep mud hole, and it's like my earbuds fell out. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
So,
Yeah.
that's for some serious hardcore people that are really into that. But again, I would love to see the reviews. And, when Apple removed the floppy drive, I was all over that when they got rid of the CD-ROM out of some of their products. That was awesome.
Yeah.
This, I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's like super groundbreaking or anything like that,
It's
but
just gonna take time.
yeah,
It's
it'll
gonna
just
take
take
time.
time.
Yeah, I know they're selling the connectors for $9 for if you want to use your old headphones.
And it
But
comes with the new one.
actually, it comes with it, right?
Yep. But you
It
can
does.
buy it separately
You can
if you
buy for
lose it
nine
or something.
dollars, right?
Yep.
So
So
finally, so I hear you're a big samosa guy, huh?
I'm a big samosa guy.
Yeah. What are you, a big chef or something?
No, 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 no. Nothing like that. But my mom and dad, incredible cooks. And my dad used to make samosa, but they're not like the pastry type that you see in the
Yeah.
States. So in the city where my parents grew up, Ahmedabad in India, there is a certain section of the town where you can get different kinds of food. It's near the meat market and stuff like that. And there's one little stall stuffed in the middle of all these different places. And my parents grew up eating these samosa there. And basically, I don't know what they use in India, but it looks like an egg roll. They're really tiny and they're fried in this huge kettle. And
Okay.
I'm not, it's probably mutton that they use over there.
Yeah.
And so what my dad did is when he moved here, he used real egg rolls, that you buy at the market, and then he would stuff them with spiced ground beef, and then
Okay.
deep fry them. And holy cow! Like even though they're so spicy, and you know you're gonna get sick later, you eat as many as you can.
Yeah,
And so he shared what how to make them with my sister and I, and so it's a lot of effort to make them, but so worth it.
they're really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I usually get them from when I go to Toronto, and like you said, there's different kinds of samosas. Some are very pasty, very cakey kind. But there's one or two places in Toronto that uh, the outside of it is it's like very thin.
Hmm.
It's like you said, like a thin egg roll,
Yep.
kind of. And yeah, it's really good. I mean, and they're selling it by the hundreds. People are walking to the store, I'll say 100 samosas, 50 samosas,
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and you got to like pre-order in advance and things like that. And it's just not one place. They have, you know, so
Yeah.
so
I'm
maybe we should do if we could find a like a community kitchen or something in Atlanta, maybe.
Well, actually, for some of our subscribers, we have revealed some secret plans that you can only know about if you're a subscriber and you are on certain WhatsApp channels and stuff like that. And so
Right.
it's going to be invite only. We're not really sure if it's going to happen because I kind of invited myself over.
Right.
So I don't know if he's going to be agreeable for that. But yeah, I have like this. I have a very tiny deep fryer that I picked up at Sears for like I don't know, like 50 or $60, and I make it in there, and I can fit three at a time.
Oh,
And to make like 30, it takes hours
okay.
because yeah, I mean because you gotta cook it at a certain temperature, and it takes 15 minutes, and so then you. But it's funny, like when I'm making them, when we have the last time I made them, when people were at the house, they were grabbing them
As
as
it
they
was
came
coming
out.
out.
And so it was just like for hours, it's like, okay, I'm just cooking and cooking and cooking. It was fun.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah, so we need subscribers to get into the secret here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind, leave us some comments on how you do your patching because, Harjit
Yes.
shared his, I shared mine. I am very curious what else people are doing.
Yeah, what
Um,
people are using, how they're doing it, how they set their mandatory deadlines,
yep.
even third-party patching, what do they use? Are they using just homegrown, SECM, or they've integrated with something like, I don't know, Flexera or, you know, Heat, or, there's so many different variations out there.
Yeah.
So,
For our
uh,
office, we use Nine Night actually
oh
to
yeah,
to
yeah,
get
I've
all the
heard.
third party stuff out. For us, that works well. You know, just one of the other ones that are out there. We're not endorsing just something that I have hands-on experience with. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So,
cool, man. Well, it's good talking to you.
all right, you too. I'll catch up with you again later this week.
Absolute. Thanks, everybody. And
Thanks
you
for
can
listening.
find me on Twitter at IT Prayer.
And I'm at Hooch, Hoorge. See you soon.
Later, dude.
Ciao.